The day she showed up, her voice carried entitlement before her heels even hit the floor. "This is it," my mother-in-law announced, sweeping her hand across the room like she was claiming a kingdom. "We can finally live in a new house." I almost laughed at the irony because the house she was praising wasn't hers. It wasn't theirs. It was mine. And that was the moment I stopped pretending I didn't see what was happening. I had married into their family thinking loyalty and respect went both ways. I worked long hours, saved every penny, and dreamed of finally owning something that belonged to me. But to them, I wasn't a partner. I was just an accessory to their son, a walking wallet. The first time she hinted at it, I brushed it off. "You don't need to save," she'd tell me. "Once the family house sells, we'll all benefit. We'll get a bigger place." Back then, I smiled politely, thinking she was exaggerating. But exaggerations always come from somewhere, and hers had deep roots. The warning signs started small. My husband spending more and more time at her house instead of ours. Phone calls that ended the second I walked into the room. "Just family matters," he'd mumble. Then one day I overheard her, loud on purpose. "She thinks she's buying a house? Ridiculous. I'll sell this one and we'll all move into hers. She owes us." Owes us. The words clung to me like a stain. That's when it hit me. I wasn't her daughter-in-law. I was just a resource, something to drain. The day of the inspection came. I stood with the agent, papers in hand, ready to close the deal. And then they showed up. My mother-in-law, sister-in-law, even cousins I barely knew, marching in like they were staking claim. She touched the walls, admired the chandeliers, then smirked at me. "Perfect size. We'll take the upstairs. You and my son can make do with the ground floor." I didn't react. Not even a flicker. Because by then, my plan was already in motion. I had never told anyone whose name was going on the deed. Not my husband, not his family, only mine knew. While they thought I was paying for our future, I was carefully documenting everything. Every comment, every assumption, every form left unsigned. The lawyer's office knew exactly who to call when the deal closed. Me. This house wasn't marital property. It wasn't community property. It was untouchable. It was mine. They strutted through the rooms like they were already picking bedrooms. My sister-in-law even squealed, "Finally! No more cramped apartment!" My husband stayed quiet, his eyes darting to me, nervous. He knew. Deep down, he knew this wasn't going to play out the way his mother imagined. I let them enjoy their little fantasy. I let them feel, just for a moment, like they owned something that never belonged to them. Then I said it, calm and clear. "This house is mine, paid for with my money, signed under my name, not yours, not your son's, not the family's." The room froze. My mother-in-law's smirk vanished. "Don't be ridiculous," she snapped. "We're family. Everything is shared." "Not this," I said. "Not ever." Her voice rose, shrill with panic. "You wouldn't survive without my son." I met her eyes, steady and cold. "Correction, he wouldn't survive without me, and this house proves it." My husband shifted uncomfortably, shame written all over his face. He mumbled something about talking later, but later had already come and gone. The agent slid the final papers across the table, oblivious to the storm brewing. My pen moved smoothly, each stroke cutting ties sharper than any blade. Signed, sealed, final. One by one, they realized the truth. They had no power here. My mother-in-law's hands shook as she hissed, "You'll regret this." But regret? I already knew regret. I had lived with it long ago. Ugh. Regret for staying quiet, for letting them invade my life, for being the dutiful wife while they schemed to strip me bare. But in that moment, I felt nothing but relief. When we left that day, I didn't ride back with them. I stayed in my house, letting the silence settle over me like a crown. By the end of the week, movers had cleared out their old family home. They assumed they'd be staying at mine temporarily. Instead, I had my lawyer deliver a letter, clear, legal, final. "This property does not belong to you. Any attempt to enter will result in prosecution." I heard they ended up renting a small, overpriced apartment near the city, far from the queen-like lifestyle my mother-in-law thought she deserved. As for my husband, he tried to make amends. Apologies poured out, excuses followed. But loyalty that only shows up late is no loyalty at all. Quietly, the same way I bought the house, I filed for divorce. No warnings, no openings for sabotage, just clean precision. When the papers reached him, he looked just as stunned as his mother had the day of the inspection. And I felt the same calm then as I do now. People think revenge burns like fire, fueled by rage, but it's not about fire, it's about control, timing, and precision. It's about letting them believe they've won until the ground disappears beneath their feet. That day, my mother-in-law thought she was walking into her new home,